Good evening and welcome to the Top Excel show with Toyin and the gang. So here with me today I have Yomi Oyelami. Hi Yomi.
Back to the guys here again. Good evening, Nigeria. Good
Yeah,
evening, world. How are you doing?
it's fine. How's your day, Yomi?
My day is fine. It's been a learning day for me. As in, I've just been watching some videos, reading some books, and it's been good.
Yeah, we did off and on of a little bit of rain. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So today we'll be talking about improving self-sufficiency through food security. Yomi, what do you think of the topic?
Yeah. What do I think of the topic? The topic is quite timely for this period. Number
True.
one, last week was World Food Day, October 16. That's when we celebrate
Yeah.
World Food Day every year. And it's a time to make us look at what are we doing as humans to ensure we get enough food to eat. One of the top three essentials for life is food. Food is something that we must eat by all means. So it's very important for us to talk about this again and again.
Well, that's lovely. Unlike some of us who don't like
You don't
it.
like it?
Yeah.
Right. For those of us who like eating, can we eat the food on? Let's keep eating. Our health
Right.
needs it, especially for those of us who live with sickle cell. You can't play with eating. Oh, I beg. Please eat.
That's true.
Eat good
Yeah.
food. It's very important.
So today we have some lovely guests who will be joining us and sharing their experience about food and how they've been able to manage within their environment to have little things to keep them going and live a healthy and productive life.
Yeah.
So first off, we have Zandi. Hi Zandi, good evening.
Good evening, Deborah. How are
So glad
you?
to have you. Fine,
All
very
right. Can I
well. How are
quickly
you?
do the short bio of Zandi?
Yes, please go ahead.
All right. Zandra Nwogu is a Montessorian, a beauty enthusiast who enjoys cooking, crafts, and eating healthy. She ventures into different kinds of organic skin products and foods. We popularly know her for her beet zobo. That's why we call her Zandi Beet Zobo. And she says, "You are what you eat." Welcome, Zandi.
Hi, Zandi, welcome.
Okay.
Thank you for
Thank you,
joining
guys.
us.
Thank you for having me this night. I really appreciate it. And I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah,
Yeah, we are happy to have you.
sure.
Thank you.
So up next we have Samson Ogbole. Hi, Ogbole.
Hi, good evening. Good evening,
Good
everyone.
evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening,
Thank
Oga
you.
Sam.
Big bro, good evening, man. Good evening.
Yeah, Samson is the team lead at Eupepsia Place Limited, which is a soilless farm lab. He is known for native sources of growing crops, such as aeroponics, hydroponics, and all the likes. Samson believes that if hunger is not seasonal, food production should not be seasonal. Welcome, Samson. Good evening.
Welcome,
Good
Samson.
evening. Thanks, man. Good evening.
So up next we have Oluwa Sheifumi. Hi, Sheifumi.
Hello, Deborah. Good evening.
Good
Good evening,
evening.
house.
Good evening,
Good
man.
evening.
Thank
Oluwasheyifumi is
you.
a lawyer. When I when I heard that, I was and she's the founder of Prime Agro Consult, where they are into fish farming, poultry, among other forms of agriculture that she's going to be telling us more about today. Good evening, ma. Good evening. We celebrate you.
Good evening. Thank you so
Thank
very
you guys
much. I
for
appreciate
joining
being with
us.
you this evening.
All right. So let's kick into it. Deb, what do you have for us?
Okay, so we'll start our first question with Sheifumi.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Shefumi, you're a lawyer, but also into farming. How did you come into the field? What brought you there? What was the idea behind it?
Thank you very much. Um, I am a legal practitioner and I'm into uh, core practice. I I do civil and criminal litigation, precisely. But at that, especially before COVID, I have this flair to nurture. I like to nurture things. So and then I
Okay.
like the green nature. So at every point in time when I was growing up, my father used to like us to have flowers around us. But at some point, I think that orientation changed. And I thought rather than having flowers, why don't you have some little other things that could be useful
Okay.
for you within the house? You don't have to go out to get all of those things. And so I changed the flower thing to having a saint leaf in the house. That's what Yoruba call efirin.
Yes.
Sometimes when you're cooking, saint leaf is good for so many things, of course. And then sometimes you have tummy ache, sometimes you have pile, and all of this. So all of this is necessary in your daily cooking sometimes. So anytime I cook vegetable, you must have a smell of saint leaf in my vegetable. So because I like it so much, I thought, okay, let me just have it in the house. Then I could just go downstairs, pluck it, and put a little in my vegetable. You can use it for so many other things, spaghetti, and the rest of it. I'm sure Zandy can testify to what I'm saying. Like
Yes.
she cooks. Okay. So apart from that, I also have bitter leaf in the house. You know, I
Okay.
grew that. At some point, I bought some pineapples someday. I loved the pineapple. They were so sweet. I didn't really want to get away from it. And I thought, how am I going to do it? Next time when you want to, pineapples usually, you have the sour ones. And so
Yes.
most of the time, you're not encouraged to eat pineapple. So, but I saw this very sweet one and I thought, okay, I could actually plant it. I didn't even know anything about it. I just kept it in the ground and I started nurturing it. And before I knew what was happening, it was coming. And then when I harvested that one, I planted another one. And that was where the flare came from. Do you understand?
Yes.
So much so when it was COVID, when COVID came and everybody didn't know what to do. We're not leaving the house for weeks, for days, for months. And I'm like, are we not going to be eating? We're not going to go out. Everything we bought during that time was almost exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we're going to be doing. Okay, by the time the COVID was lifted, I thought in my mind, we don't know what COVID is bringing. If something like this happens again and it's going to take longer,
Okay.
I think we should start thinking of what next to do. And then I thought about having fish in the house. Gradually, we can take from it. You know, I thought about having a poultry, which I can just take care of them, clean them up, and when they are ripe for, harvesting, we eat. Just for my personal self, because it's even when you see people out there or when there's availability of money, that's when you say you want to make it as a business. It's going to be fine if you want to do them as business, but for self-sufficiency, you need to just have them within the house. So I live in my house and then I have some space. And then I feel, okay, it was where we had a well at some point. So now that we had a borehole, and I thought, okay, let me build a pond in this place. And I did. And before you know what is happening, started eating catfish soup, catfish
Okay.
pepper. I
Wow.
roast it sometimes, I fry it sometimes,
Wow.
and they have a lot of food on my table.
Hmm.
And that's it.
Mm.
Well done.
Wow.
Awesome.
Powerful.
That,
Hmm.
yeah, that's good.
Really, really,
Apologize.
really, Shivu, you really opened this discourse on a powerful note for us, looking at what we could have done during the lockdown, looking at going back in time to what you usually do when we were growing up and all those things, and now we grew up and we feel that, oh, I can't be doing all these things again, Daddy. What am I doing? But Zani, can I
Yes.
bring the question to you also? How did you start with? We know you are a natural person. Everything is natural. Tell us, how did you start this process? Of tell us a bit of your own story.
Okay. Thank you for this question. Just like Ms. Shaifumi said, it started when I was growing up because then my father had a garden in the house. So while he's
Okay.
planting, I'll follow him to, know how all these things work. So from there, I started, okay, when I finished school, I relocated to Lagos where there is no farm anymore. I was like, okay, how am I going to cope with all this no farm of a thing? Because me, I like a situation whereby you can be able to, just like she said, if you want to cook something, just run at the back of your house to get scent leaf or curry leaf, those kind of things to add to your stuff. So I realized, this part of Lagos State, rather that even the soil is not as in might not grow plants. Some of them doesn't
Yeah.
grow plants because of the where the soil is. So what I did was just to get a pot. What I do is pot gardening. I get a pot, I put sand inside it. I was able. The first thing I grew was pepper. So when I realized that when the pepper grew up, then I harvested the pepper. That encouraged me to do other things. Like I'm talking right now, just like she said, during COVID, I had a lot of things in the pot, including ugu. I had a scent leaf, curry leaf, spring onions, name it, even mint leaf. Currently now, I have a lot of them. Though I was not able to get the ugu seed this season because
Mm.
I wanted a particular species of ugu seedling from the east. I didn't want the one from this part of the state. So that's how I started my own farm because I enjoy it, especially when you want to make pepper soup. You just run at the back of your house and grab scent leaf. It's really, really interesting because you find out that it's very fresh and the joy that comes with it, as in you telling yourself that you'll be able to grow all this by yourself, it comes with a lot of joy. When you are eating the food, you will balance well and eat the food and enjoy it.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's great.
Great.
Well done, Zandy. I'm sure I'll
Thank
come
you.
and harvest some soon. I'll be I'll come and pay a visit.
Deb, you want to harvest, you don't want to plant. Eh?
It's easier. It's easy to grow these things in the pot.
Yes,
It's very,
very
very easy.
easy.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, before we do all the pots, listen, you are into an alternative source of agriculture entirely. We heard about soil, and everything. Now, we would like you to tell us how you came about this idea of planting without soil. Tell us, how did you start?
All right. Thank you. Before I start, I'm sure I'll be having to visit some of my mummies to come and take pepper soup in their houses, since pepper soup is the one that is bringing everybody into farming. All right. So, one of my degrees, I started with farming because one of my first degree, or one of my degrees rather, is in biochemistry. And I remember back then, we had a work we did on tomatoes. Tomatoes contains a phytochemical that is called lycopene. And theoretically speaking, we are told in class that lycopene can prevent prostate cancer. So while in class, just random uses, we are like, okay, if Nigeria consumes so much lycopene and so much tomatoes, why is it that prostate cancer is on the rise among Nigeria men? It's either one of the two. It's either our tomatoes are fake or our schools are lying. So we needed to understand what was really wrong with the system. So we went on a random search in the market, bought various tomatoes, brought them back into the lab, tested them. and their lycopene levels were very, very low. Now, with that, I knew, oh, what was wrong? Is this something we can do in the lab? I mean, from science background, my whole thought was probably we have to go to the lab, try and work on the seed so that we can increase the lycopene level. During my NYSC, I was fortunate I was posted to IITA, International Institute of Tropical Agriculture. Now, while I was there, it was a whole mix of they needed a chemistry person. They thought biochemistry and chemistry meant the same thing in NYSC camp, so they threw me to IITA. When I got there, I was really concerned. So, of course, I met my project lead, who was like, oh, this could be a great research area. Work it out. I mean, you have access to funds, whatever you need. Let's see what was wrong. And not too long, I realized there was something fundamentally wrong with the way plants were being grown. Um, a way to make this make sense, maybe we would understand this is imagine right now where you are seated, I'm sure there are no flies. But if I have a cut on my palm or a cut on my hand or any part of my body, at some point, flies will start following that person around if the person does not treat the wound. Now,
That's right.
because of the flies, if I decide to go and get shelters or Baygon and start spraying the person 247, 247, yes, the Baygon will kill the flies, but much more than that, the Baygon will harm the health of the person. So it will kill the flies, but also cause harm to the person. And unfortunately, this is what has been happening in our farms. So you notice a pest, you notice a disease, a symptom. Rather than find the root cause, the farmer has been taught to go and get every chemical they can lay their hands on and baptize the plant. Now, the issue with that is, yes, you are going to get a produce at the end of the day, but that produce is not healthy. The process of farming is not healthy for the farmer. The produce you are getting is not healthy for the consumer. And the produce and the product is not healthy for the environment. So the question was, how then do we solve this problem? Because it is one thing to identify that this is wrong, but we cannot tell farmers stop doing this if we do not have a good alternative. So there, and of course, this was not about appealing to their health, their emotional or health mindset, because these guys are in this thing for business. So we have to think of what is a solution that would appeal to their pockets and over time their hearts. So there was a need to look at what was wrong in our current growing process. Why is it that farmers had to use a whole lot of chemicals to make plants grow? So we realized that the fundamental issue was first the soil.
Sorry.
Like Zandi rightly said, you realize that as far back as 1979, there was a work done by Professor Agbola of University of Ilorin that realized that well over 50% of Nigerian soil was no longer fertile for growing. Now, it's important I explain this because you have a lot of people who say things like, but we have enough land. Now, as a farmer, not every land is for farming. So first, there is land, there is arable land. Arable land is the land that can support life. Other kinds of land that are not arable, yes, they are land, but they cannot support life. Now, number two, beyond arable land, we have what we call fertile lands. Now, fertile lands are those lands that are arable and do not need any complement like extra fertilizer before you can use them to grow. So, on their own, they are fine enough to grow. Now, not every fertile land that you can grow on, because some fertile land has been designated forests, which are the lungs of the nation. Now, when we realize the fact that the first victim of civilization is farming, because every time civilization comes to a place, the first set of people you push out are the farmers. You push the farm out because they are not, in quotes, fine enough to be in that environment. Now, juxtapose this with the reality that majority of our farmers are over 60 years old. So it means that, and of course, we also know that youths are not interested in agriculture. The few youths that we have in our villages are looking for ways to get to the city for search of a better life. So we understood that this was a multidimensional problem. Our population is growing, the land is dying, the youth are not interested in agriculture, the mode of agriculture was not healthy for the farmer, the consumer, or the environment. So we needed a solution that would fit for everybody. We needed farms that could be in the city or peri-urban cities. We needed farms that youth would be interested in. Much more than that, we needed farms that were less risky, that we could de-risk to a large extent. Hence, we saw something called soilless farming, growing plants without the use of soil. And when we started back then, that was 2012 or so, the first crop we started with was yam. And the choice of yam was simple. Yam is a Nigerian crop that, I mean, almost all Nigerians love. Unfortunately, yam is expensive compared to other crops. I'm glad I have farmers on the platform. If you take a maize cob, from a single maize cob, you can get another 100 maize if you plant each seed. But
Yes.
if you take
Yes.
a yam, the maximum normally you will get from a yam is three. You cut the head, the middle, and the tail. And
Mm-hmm.
what this simply means is if a farmer needs to plant an hectare of yam, he either needs to save some yams from his previous season or spend a fortune buying yam. And automatically, this means that the price of yam would continually be expensive in the market. And we understand that as a nation, there are two ways to improve the, what's the word now, to increase the wealth of the people. The number one way we realized that we could use to increase the wealth of the people was increase everybody's income, everybody's earning capacity. Or option number two, reduce the amount they spend on things, as in reduce the price of things they spend money on. The number one is not feasible. I mean, we cannot increase everybody's money across boards. But we realized that number two was much more feasible. How? By trying to reduce the amount they spend on food. There was a stat release, I think, by Budget it earlier this year, January, February, and I realized that Nigerians spend over 56% of their income on food. But if we are
Yeah.
able to reduce the amount people spend on food, it means they would have much more disposable income that they can spend on other things. So we thought there is a need for us to have a method that allows us to grow our plants without season. Take, for instance, there is a time tomatoes is very cheap. When it is very cheap, the poor amongst us can afford it. When it becomes expensive, only the rich and middle class can afford it. But what if there was a way to grow plants all year round to ensure that these crops are not seasonal? It means maize will not be seasonal, yam is not seasonal, tomatoes, pepper, these things are not seasonal, so they become very, very cheap. So this was the beginning of the whole soilless farming journey. Finding a way or a technology that would enable us to ensure that we can produce all year round, crush the price of food, and much more than that, raise the next generation of farmers. Thank you.
Powerful, powerful. You have really you really raised a lot of issues in that those 5 minutes. As in, wow. You know, one thing you said that strikes me was about the yam that you started with. No, I have always learned that I will say it in Yoruba, then I'll translate it. That aman lady. That is, we always always get our yam from the ground. We can't get it. We always get it from the ground. That is what we know. But you have been able to establish that we can actually grow yam on top of the ground,
Yeah.
On the
which
surface.
is quite powerful,
Quite
powerful stuff.
different. Yes. It's quite different from the usual farming.
Wow, Debbie, are you learning from what have you gained so far in this entire conversation.
I just feel that no matter what, you can make use of your little space. Just make something so you don't have to keep spending
Mm,
always.
Exactly.
True. Very
wow,
true.
powerful. Very true. The a lot of questions have arisen out of my mind on this. But Debbie, do you have any question that you want to ask our guest?
Yes. Why is it important that every Nigerian should go into farming? Why do you think it's important for everyone to go into farming with make use of their little space and manage it, produce something that they could use? Why is it that important? Why do you think it's that important?
Well, for me, um, like your topic says, you have to be self-sufficient.
Mhm.
At some time, you don't have the availability of money at your disposal at all time, or especially these days when things keep getting expensive. If you buy something today, the next minute is up again. By the time you use up that and you're in the market to get another one, you'll be sure that you're not buying at the same price. So, therefore,
Exactly.
if you can substitute with a little thing that you can lay your hands on within your own comfort zone, it helps you being self sufficient. And this is food security. It allows you access to have enough food for your own healthy and active life. So, therefore, of course, we can't grow everything. Of course, even if we have acres of land, you can't probably be good at doing everything.
Everything.
But the little you can, no matter how small it is, if you have opportunity to have a very large farm, so be it, fine. But that you will not even start anything at all is not having food security, which is very essential at this time, especially with COVID coming in without anybody thinking about it. So I think at least we should lay our hands on something. For instance, if I was not part of this program today, I probably even wouldn't know that I can plant without soil. But with what
Exactly.
Samson has said now, I want to know more about that so that I can have opportunity to do more and experiment on that. So that I can
Mm-hmm.
become an authority and say, I have tried this. It can work. Why don't you try it?
Zandi, what's your thought
Yes.
on this? Why is it important for every Nigerian to do something?
I think it's very, very important for every home to have a garden. At least it will make you to spend less on your disposable income. It's not everything or anytime you want to cook or you want to prepare something that you have to rush to the market to buy something. If you have some things around you, you might end up not going to the market to prepare a meal. So if you have that, it will make you to spend less from your disposable income and also make you to save more. The money you will use to be
It is.
buying most of all those things, maybe you need this, you want to prepare a meal. Maybe when you write down your list, you find out that almost half of the list you have it at the back of your house. It will make you to save more and spend less. So I think it's very, very important that each and everyone should have something, a garden at least. Thank you.
Okay, great. Great,
Mm.
great, great.
Mhm.
Shay, for me, coming back to your story, you talked about how you go from upstairs, come downstairs to pick things, pick this, pick that. So I'm thinking now in Lagos, people don't have the luxury of space. Space is a big issue, is a big challenge for us in Lagos. Every conceivable space is a shop if it's not the house. So, is it like you have a complete building to yourself? And then now let's now be people who let's say they have a room and parlor, and they don't even, probably they just have a small space, maybe at the back or something, or in the front. How can they, what can they do? How can they maximize their space? I want to just, let's bring this practical now. Let's bring it home.
Okay.
Okay. I don't have a house of my own actually,
Mm,
but with the grace of
Oh,
God, I
interesting.
fortunate that my father has a house in Lagos,
mm,
and so not actually a rented house, it's our own, and so that's why I can make use of the space. But going to your question, if in case we don't have space, with Zandi and with Samson, Zandi started with pots. Yes, we have flower pots everywhere.
Exactly.
So we can actually have a pot just right in front of your space, just that little space that you have. You can make use of it. Put your things in the pot. If you're going to use soil, and if you're going to use, I mean, do the way something had said it, because I'm new in that, and I think I'm really going to see something after now to know how to do that precisely. Yeah, but having your pots, having your, in fact, if you don't even have as much money to get the pots that you buy, you can use as much as your pink plastic, your custard 4 liter pink plastic. You can open the down part, put some soil in it,
Wow.
then plant whatever you want to plant in it. Just put it in front of you. Water is free, hair is free, every other thing is free. All you need to do is check on it. When it's dry season, you do more of wetting. When it's rainy season, God is blessing it for you. And then that's it. So it's just as simple as that. You don't have to have all the space. The little space will make a difference.
mm.
Okay.
Sorry, I want to add something to what she said.
Really? Yes. Yes, I
Okay.
want you to. Yes.
Okay, just like she said, you can use pots. If you think the pots are so expensive for you, you can use sack bags. You just
Wow.
add your sand inside it, then you plant whatever you want to plant. I saw one man in on LinkedIn. He said he preferred planting yam in bags compared to planting on the floor. Do you understand? So he said because when you plant inside the bags, in case assuming you want to add something like fertilizer or organic manure inside it,
Yes.
everything stays inside there. But when you do it on the ground, sometimes when it rains, the
Erosion.
rain maybe
Mhm.
erosion might wash it out. But when you put it in bags, and if you see the kind of yam this man harvests from the bags, you will be like, wow. As in he used bags to plant. And I've seen another farmer too that used bags to plant cucumber. He's a cucumber farmer and he plants inside bags. So you can use your pot, you can use your bags to plant.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Wow. Wow.
Samson,
Wow.
can you give us some ideas on how to start this farming in L? Can you share a bit of ways to go about it for
Yeah,
people who might want to try?
yeah, it's simple. I will take the former question and this together, if you don't mind. Why is it
All
important
right.
for
Great.
people to have farms in their houses? Number one, agriculture takes money from everybody. So it's you losing out if you don't find a way to also make money out of agriculture or save money from agriculture. We all eat, we all wear clothes, we live in houses. This is agriculture taking money from you. And you realize that when you grow your food, no matter how little, it helps you condone waste. It helps you watch against waste. I have realized one thing that most people that have gardens at home do not waste so much food because you feel this is not just my money, this is my time. I spent the last 3 months or 6 months watching this thing grow. Now, especially for those that have kids, it also teaches your kids value for food. It's not just about the price of the food, but the value. And number three, it helps you to stop discrimination against food, especially in places like Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt. food discrimination is high. You hear people say things, oh, I don't like that tomatoes because it's not big. The question is, are you looking for big tomatoes or nutritious tomatoes? Who told you that the big ones are the nutritious ones? But when you grow yourself, it gives you a different level of enlightenment that, okay, it's about the health value, not whether it looks fine or not. Now, that is on one side. Then, of course, if you are
Wow.
able to grow, you don't. So, for example, I always tell people this: if you live in a community like an estate or something, everybody should not grow the same thing. It defeats
Yeah.
the whole purpose. I can grow ugu, you grow water, another person grows a force, somebody else grows something else. That way, you have
Exactly.
trade by barter. I can give you my
Mm-hmm.
ugu in exchange for your lettuce. And before you
Mm-hmm.
know what is happening,
Wow.
you are able to save money. And much more than that, you trust the source of where your food is coming from. There was
Exactly.
a time I went around some farms and I told them, let me go around your farm, test your farm produce and put the product and put the results online. Majority refused because they understood the fact that most of what they are giving people are poisons. I always tell people this. I am sure everybody at one point or the other has heard that some Nigerian foodstuffs were banned from going abroad. And my question is, if it was banned from going out of the country, it means they are not fit enough for eating. Then who is protecting you from eating those food in your house? So it means that every day that you are eating, you are just taking what's it called, poisons in installments. And by the time death comes knocking, you are like, oh, it's Satan. Meanwhile, Satan is wondering, I had no part to play in this. Now, onto how can we start small, regardless of how much space you have, with soilless farming? First, let me explain that because most people think soilless farming is one genius thing. It's something very simple. Um, Let me put it this way. For us to do soilless farming, it's important we understand the role of soil in planting. That way, we are able to remove the soil components and bring in whatever we want to use. Now, traditionally, soil has
Okay.
three functions to the plant. The first function of soil to the plant is for support. That is what anchors the roots of the plant to the ground. The second function of soil is for water retention, to hold water. The third function of soil is for aeration, to allow air to pass. That is why, as farmers do using soil, you will not kill earthworms because as they percolate through the soil, they create air spaces for air to pass, which is good for the roots of the plant. Now, to see whether this is true or not, we remember in primary school we were taught that there are three types of soil. There is the sandy soil, the clay soil, and the loamy soil. And we were told that the best soil for growing is loamy soil, but they forgot to
Yeah.
tell us why. Now, if you look at sandy soil based on the characteristics I listed earlier, sandy soil cannot really hold the plant well. Sandy
That's
soil
true.
cannot hold water, but sandy soil will allow air to pass, which means out of the basic three characteristics of soil, it can only perform one.
Yes.
If we come
Yeah.
to clay soil can hold the plant well, it can retain water, but it will not allow air to pass. So, out of the
Yeah.
basic characteristics of soil, clay soil can only do two. But if you come to loamy soil can perform the three functions, which is why we use loamy soil to grow. Now, in soilless farming, all we are doing is removing that loamy soil and bringing in anything that can perform similar characteristics. I'll take us back. In those days before the invention of fridge, when you buy vegetables in the market and you do not want them to spoil, you keep them inside water. Now, if you leave them in the water for about 3 to 7 days, some of us would have noticed that they start to grow roots.
Yes.
Now, if I needed them to continue to grow, all I needed to add to that water is nutrients, and they continue to grow. And you are doing soilless farming. It is as simple as that.
Mm.
So, with that understanding, it means that I can go and buy basil from the market, regular basil, sweet basil. Take the basil where a note comes out, put that basil inside, even if it's a container like this bottled water. Then add your nutrients inside this water. Just let it be inside. Your basil will continue to grow and you can harvest for about a year. You just cut, it will regrow, cut, it will regrow. Same thing, you go and buy things like celery, parsley, and luckily they left it with some roots. You can do exactly the same thing. They continue to grow. Now, I know mommy has a fish pond. Now, if you look at your fish pond, the major waste product from fishes is urea. Urea, in the simple terms, is ammonia, nitrogen, which is what vegetable plants need the most. Now, if mommy gets something like styrofoam is that foam that they put inside TV or electronics when you buy them. Now, you get your styrofoam, put a hole on the styrofoam, get your disposable cup to sit inside that hole. Then get your plants that you want to plant, like your lettuce, your sweet basil, even your efirin, put inside the hole that you put in the disposable cup. But bore holes at the bottom of the disposable cup so that the bottom of the plant can be inside the water, and the water from the fishes can come inside. You can use clay pebbles or anything to hold the plant in place. Because the bottom of the plant is in contact with water, over time they will develop roots. Once they have developed roots, they will start using the urea in the fish water to grow. That would ensure that you do not have to switch or change the water in your fish regularly, because the plant is using it up to grow. You just need to top up the water. So that, in simple terms, is also soilless farming. We call that aquaponics, when you join aquaculture and hydroponics together in one unit. So I hope that explains how people can start easily.
Yes, it does
Wow.
very. That's that's
This
lovely.
is tremendous. Ah, come on.
I have a little
Wow.
bit of
Oluwaseun,
contribution before we end that session.
That's a whole lot.
that's a whole
Okay.
lot, man. Wow, wow, wow.
I
Oluwaseun,
said
you have something to say?
yes, I said I have a contribution before that session ends.
Okay.
Yes. I
Great,
also want
great.
to
Please
agree
share.
with Sam saying that when you do farming within your own space,
Mm.
it helps you to eat healthy. Where maybe because of the long term of the transportation, processing of food from one place to the other, sometimes food get rotten before it even gets to you. And so before you know what's happening, we take a lot of processed food. I mean, you don't most of the time take fruits as fresh as it comes from the farm. It
Mm.
has gone through the process of transportation from one place to the other before it gets to the final end users, you know. And then when you have all those things in your own place, all you need to do is just to take the quantity that you need and nothing more. Let the other continue to grow. And
Mm.
then because you have them at your disposal, you can take them as many times as possible. So you take them fresh. Eating them fresh gets you healthy, and then you don't have to waste. And then it takes you a little away from taking too much processed food, which
Mm.
causes a lot of danger in our body. When you eat this, they tell you don't take too much of carbonated drink, don't take too much of. But you have all of those fresh fruits, vegetables, and the rest of it fresh from your farm. And then the little of it you eat, it helps you to, I mean, use the nutrients that your body needs and dispose the rest as waste. Thank
Okay.
you.
Well
Powerful.
done.
Mm.
So
Deb,
how do you create time
I
for
feel that's a very powerful way to close, right?
Yes, yes. How do you
Wow,
create
wow, wow,
time for
wow.
them to keep going and not die off anytime soon? Because there are people who will start something and in the next few days they forgot they have something at the back of their house and it dies off, and the struggle of starting all over again makes them feel, what's the point? How do you create time to manage it?
Okay, personally, I think before you go into some of the farming, it must be like a hobby to you. It must be something you enjoy doing. Because if you don't enjoy doing it, that's when you have a situation whereby you plant something and you allow the weed to cover it and kill it and all that. But if you enjoy doing it, you find out that even if you're not doing anything, you'll be like, okay, let me go and check this plant at the back of my house. Let me check this. You will be monitoring it as if you're taking care of a child. You will nurture it very, very well. But if you don't have the flair for it, if you don't see it as a hobby, I think you'll find it difficult to
Difficult.
indulge in farming. So you must have a link.
Okay, so we have
There's
a
Well,
there's a
question
question
definitely.
from.
from one of our audience here. Light on. It says, if someone wants you to help him or her set up a home farm, can any of you help?
If it's pot
Well,
garden, I can help.
it's
Oh,
all about
Zandy.
mentoring.
Great.
It's all about
All right,
mentoring.
so Toby Light of
Like,
contact Zandy for that. If you want to, you are you don't want to set it yourself. You want someone to help you set it up. I hope that will survive, Sha.
the
Olashegun, what do
truth
you
of the
think?
matter,
But just like I said, it has to be fun, as in it's something that you love doing. Because if you don't love
Eh,
doing it, I might end up setting it
love
up. At the
doing
end of the day,
It
you
still dies
allow it
off.
just leave the thing to die
exactly.
up. But if it's something you have the flair for, you like doing, you'll be like, okay, if something is wrong with it, you'll be like, okay, let me consult this person. What is happening? Oh, I noticed this, I
Yeah.
noticed that.
Mm, okay.
the truth of the matter is for you to even go a step of wanting to plant, you must have liked it.
Yes.
If you
Yes,
desire to
exactly.
have a car, when you
Mm,
have the car, you want to wash the car, you want to clean the car, you want to ride the car, you want to be with the car, you want to do everything with the car. So if you have a flair, not just flair now, but if you must even go to the extent of wanting to have something planted, then you already have a flair to nurture. And then at every point in time, you want to see it. At every point in time, you want to see it grow. And then the beautiful part of it is when it grows, it gives you a kind of joy. Like when I was going
Exactly.
to start my fish farming, I took them at finger licks. Finger licks is just like half part of your finger, just one of your finger, a half part of it. And then when I looked at it, I'm like, how am I going to do this? Are they going to grow? Are they going to die? Am I going to succeed? Do you understand? And then I did
yeah.
it gradually. And that is where nurturing comes in. There's nothing you want to do without having somebody to actually help you. I mean, a little bit of training, a bit of advice, a little bit of mentoring. You understand? So, I mean, when I saw them
Great.
coming up, getting big, like it's enough for I mean, that it's edible enough for you to take, and then I begin to harvest, it gives me a kind of joy that, wow, I did this. Like, it was
Wow.
never achievable, but like, wow, I
Yes.
did this. So, I mean, if anybody wants to do that, why not? If not, I'll be open to.
Sandra, please answer this question. 1 minute. Can you plant different vegetables in one big pot?
It depends on the type of vegetable. Like curry and sense leaf can be in the same pot. But when you are doing
Oh,
something like spring onions need space. It doesn't want another person inside that. Yeah, it depends on the kind of this thing you want to plant.
I think
Well,
you can also
ignorantly,
all
I
plant
did
right.
that.
different
Depends
vegetables
on the type
different.
of vegetables you want to plant. Yes.
Yes.
Ignorantly, I did
All
that.
right.
I bought onion leaf some time ago, and I saw the
Yes.
root, and I'm like, this should grow. I had just a little pot with a little bit of sand, and I kept it. And to my surprise, it keeps coming up. So anytime I cut it, it keeps growing. I'm like, oh! I'm gonna do this. So, like I said, you don't even really need to know about it. All you
Yeah.
just need to do is just in your mind, just think, can I? Can it happen? Okay, let me just try. If it doesn't happen, you're not losing anyway. I mean, if you just try and it works, so be it. If it doesn't work, try your hands on another.
Yes.
Can as well Google.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
Google, all right, great. So, in can you tell us how we can more from you on what you do, your social media handle? Everybody, can we just do that in 5 seconds so that people can learn more from what you do?
Okay, I have my Instagram page, I have my Facebook page, I have my WhatsApp, and then I have a brand name. So
Okay.
I do a lot of
Okay.
social.
How do you get you on Instagram?
How do I get my Instagram?
Just
Zandy,
the
how do we
Instagram
get you on
handle.
Instagram?
Instagram.
Just Zandy Beke on Instagram. Then on
Zandy,
Facebook, Zandy
Beke.
Zandy Beke, Beke.
Beke. All right, great. Shey, how do we get you on Instagram or any of your social media handles?
Prime Agro Consult. Just Prime Agro Consult. That's it.
Prime Agro Consults. All
Mm-hmm.
right. And Samson, can
Yeah,
you give us
something
your, how do we
prolific.
get you
Just
Samson
something prolific
Prolific
or Farmer Samson Ogbole on Instagram, whichever one.
or Farmer Samson? All right, great. Deb,
Hold on,
job
guys.
is done. Can we close? Can we
Yeah.
go home?
I think I had different ideas of what to do when next I'm trying to plant, so it doesn't die off anytime soon.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
So
you don't like to eat. Just plant it. Let me come and be eating it. Thank you.
yeah. So last word from each and every one of you. So we could just close the show for today.
okay. It's good enough to try your hands in doing something profitable.
Mhm.
Uh, and when I say profitable, I mean you have self-sufficient with what you do. You understand? And you know just a little about it, and then you just keep yourself busy, despite whatever else you do on the side. It doesn't disturb anything. It doesn't take your time. I mean, you wake up in the morning, you eat, you do everything. So just those little time is what you need. And then when you give it, you come up productive. And then somehow you find out that you have self-sufficiency, and you have guard against food security.
Great. Zandra, what about you?
Okay, what I have to say is that whatever what's doing well. So whatever, if you want to go into farming, make sure that you are going to do it very, very well. So that at the end of the day, when you see the result and the products which you have, the product of your garden or your farm, you'll be very, very happy and glad that you were able to produce such thing. So whatever you want to do, do it very, very well so that all of us will have food around us and we
Yeah.
enjoy it very well. Thank you.
All right, Farmer
Something.
Samson.
Yeah, thank you for the invite. I would just say, as individuals, you know the name of your wristwatch designer, the cloth you wear, the car you drive, but do you know your farmer? It is stupidity to know who takes care of the carcass, but you do not know who feeds your soul.
Yeah.
So, as individuals, try to
Mm,
know your farmer if you cannot be a farmer. And number two, the fact that you are succeeding as a smallholder farmer does not mean commercialize it. Different rules apply when you go commercial. So, as a
Yes.
commercial farmer, remember you cannot learn farming from the internet. You have to go stay with somebody on the study. There is a difference between farming and agribusiness. We have had successful
mm,
farmers in Nigeria, but bad businessmen. Hence, our grandparents are
mm,
poor. In a country where majority are
mm.
farmers and they are poor, before you come in and say you want to commercialize it, understand what they did wrong so that you do not also end up poor. Thank
So
you.
yeah.
Powerful. Hmm. Thank you very much, Samson.
Thank you.
Then, this show has been a powerful show for me, and it's been very enlightening. It's been sobering at some times, but to say thank you to Farmer Samson. I would like to say thank you to Zandi. I would like to thank you to Oluwase Ifumi. Thank you very much for your time that you spent with us. We appreciate this time a
Thank you
lot,
guys
and
for
we
joining
can't
us.
do without this at all. Thank you very much for everything you've done. Thank you for taking out
Thank you.
time for us. Thank you for sharing with us practical experience. We
Thank you
appreciate you.
too.
This show, Touch a Cell with Tori and the Gang, the online edition, takes place every second and every fourth Saturday of the month. This is the second edition for this month. So the next time you are going to be seeing us will be in November. Debbie, I think we had a great show, right? So
We
it's
did.
time to go. It's time to go. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank
Thank you. You
you.
can follow us
You have a
on our
lovely day.
Sammy
Bye
Updates
bye.
on other media platform, and you can look out at our website www.sicklecelladvocacy.org. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, audience. Thank you very much to everyone that will watch this show again. This show has been a production of Sickle Cell Advocacy and Management Initiative. Thank you very much. Good night,
Thank you.
everyone. Bye
Good night.
bye.
Thank you
Good
guys for
night.
joining
Bye
and
bye.
coming. Thank you. Bye.
What happened?
I shared on your Facebook.